We live in a diverse world. It is full of different colors, cultures, customs and beliefs. This diversity helps us to know each other, share various perspectives, consider different viewpoints and collaborate across multiple disciplines of knowledge. This wisdom generates a vision of collective intelligence and unification of knowledge. However, it requires integrating the findings of diverse disciplines for finding missing clues. Let us dream to illuminate this bright shining light of knowledge by combining the beautiful colors of its spectrum.
What has to be regarded as one of the fundamental and still largely unanswered intellectual questions, namely, what is the epistemological relation of science to that of to the humanity? How do the two visions of truth relate to one another?
Kinds of to what extent can we use the scientific method in order to understand the arts, and that would work.
So before we discuss how to unify the brokers of knowledge, let us put a very first knowledge question: that what knowledge itself is.
Knowledge questions are simply that. They are questions about knowledge. TOC is built on one big question, which is how do we know what we know?
Human beings have natural instinct to know. The great philosopher Aristotle famously said that all men by nature desire to know. We probably know that we know a lot of things, but do we actually know what it means to know? Does knowledge mean what we believe, or knowledge and belief are different concepts? Epistemology provides us this discussion platform.
It can help to compare knowing and just believing. Consider these two sentences. 1. Alice knows that it's raining outside. 2. Pierre believes that it's raining outside. We instinctively feel some difference between Alice and Pierre, but what is it? Actually, we'll see there are several possible points of contrast here. The first and easiest has to do with truth. If Pierre just believes that it's raining outside where he is, maybe he's wrong. Maybe the rain has stopped and he's fooled by the sound of water dripping from the trees. The things we believe are sometimes true and sometimes false. What we actually know, on the other hand, has to be true or factual. So there's no problem saying Pierre believes it's raining, but it isn't, while it sounds weird to say Alice knows it's raining, but it isn't. This is because attachment to the truth is built into the meaning of knows that.
It triggers another series of knowledge questions. Can we know what we need to know? Is it possible to know? Are the known unknowns? Can you really know it is raining outside, or are you dreaming that it is raining? This is called skepticism.
One of our famous 21st century philosophers, Donald Rumsfeld, very famously summed up states of knowledge in this very cryptic answer that he gave to questions about weapons of mass destruction in Iraq. He declared, "There are known knowns. There are the things that we know that we know. We also know that there are known unknowns. That is to say, we know there are some things we do not know, but there are also unknown unknowns. Those are the ones we don't know we don't know." And he got given the Foot in the Mouth Award by the Plain English Speaking Society for this, this response, which I think is actually really unfair, because I think this is a fantastic description of different states of knowledge.
Today human knowledge has become very indicating and complex because it is divided into too many branches and disciplines. These branches are mutually interconnected in an elusive manner.
These are some remarkable trees of knowledge, or trees of science, by Spanish scholar Ramon Llull. And Llull was actually the precursor, the very first one, who created a metaphor of science as a tree, a metaphor we use every single day when we say, biology is a branch of science, when we say genetics is a branch of science. But perhaps the most beautiful of all trees of knowledge, at least for me, was created for the French Encyclopedia by Diderot and d'Alembert in 1751. This was really the bastion of the French Enlightenment. And this gorgeous illustration was featured as a table of contents for the encyclopedia. And it actually illustrates, it maps out all domains of knowledge as separate branches of a tree. But knowledge is much more intricate than this. These are two maps of Wikipedia showing the interlinkage of articles related to history on the left and mathematics on the right. And I think by looking at these maps and the other ones that have been created of Wikipedia, arguably one of the largest rhizomatic structures ever created by man, we can really understand how human knowledge is much more intricate and interdependent, just like a network.
One important perspective is the anthropology of knowledge, which concerns what is common to all humankind and discusses how patterns of knowledge are subsequently acquired, defined, transmitted and shaped.
People have different views of the world depending on the society and culture in which they live. And anthropology, again, when it's done well, not only recognizes that, but in fact privileges and celebrates that difference.
Diversity of human race creates diversity of opinions and ideas. This diversity can be transformed into a beautiful harmony if we search what is common. It may be the reason that best decisions are often taken in the presence of disagreement and contest.
Different histories, their different political systems, their different belief systems, their gender, their nationality, their class will inform how they see the world. And epistemology being a way of finding out how we know what we know, it provides a philosophical framework.
The biggest human tragedy is our complete reliance on incomplete information for seeking knowledge. We often base our judgment on partial and limited viewpoint and try to visualize only one side of a complex multidimensional picture. We prefer belief over knowledge. For example, if we believe in religion, we measure everything from the religious point of view. On the other hand, if we believe in evolution, we consider it the only possible explanation of every mystery of cosmos. This tragic situation makes us short-sighted and we remain deprived of a complete picture of reality. Another powerful perspective is the mutual relationship between data and knowledge. Data can be thought of as a description of the world. We can perceive data with our senses, and then the brain can process it. However, knowledge on the other hand is our personal map or model of the world based on available data. Today the transformation of data to knowledge face enormous theoretical and methodological challenges because we have abundance of multimodality data.
So we have increasing amounts of vast quantities of information. And the problem that we're trying to solve is how do we query and access that information?
One available solution to deal with this abundance of multimodality data is data fusion, which have proved a great success to solve many real-life challenges.
Data fusion is where we're taking all these different types of data and our algorithms work over all of the data, pulling out these important pieces, fusing together the important bits to come up with that high-level idea.
By learning from the success and experience of data fusion, we can easily think of knowledge fusion of different disciplines. Furthermore, as knowledge boundaries for different disciplines are often fragile and overlapping, the facts can be searched and highlighted by following a multidisciplinary approach. It eventually leads toward a collective evidence, or what Edward Wilson says, consilience. The word consilience was originally coined as the phrase consilience of inductions by William Newell. It was revived in Consilience, the Unity of Knowledge, a 1998 book by the humanist biologist Edward Osborne Wilson. Consilience refers to the principle that evidence from independent, unrelated sources can converge to strong conclusions. The principle is based on the unity of knowledge.
Creative processes of science and the humanities are closely similar. The best scientists approach their work with the same emotions and wild surmise of the imagination. The ideal scientist first thinks like a poet, then works like a bookkeeper, and finally writes like a journalist.
Hi, my name is Marilee and I'm an artist.
Hi, my name is Reza and I'm a bioinformatician.
So for the last few months, you and I have been getting together and meeting and having conversations about art and science.
We're both very interested in evolution and biodiversity, and I think this collaboration would help us find the similarities between art and science. There's a lot of science in art, and that's evident. You can see, mathematics and geometry all over architecture as an art form, and yeah, they share a lot, I think.
Definitely art and science have been cross-pollinating and sort of influencing each other for a long, long time, and especially now. And, just like early life forms evolved by having permeable boundaries and kind of sharing genes back and forth, I feel like art and science share ideas. So there's a visual poetry to a scientific language or to a mathematical language in a way. They talk about beautiful symmetry in physics and, the beauty, say, of the plots that you create in your job. There's an aesthetic quality that is a deeply visual quality, and that's something that we share as a species, and it's something that art and science both take advantage of.
I think art and science both started at the same time. Because, art could have started like 2 million years ago when we started making stone tools. That could be the first sculptures that we made, or you can call it the first, scientific tool that helped us survive as a species. One can also argue that, dancing and singing are also art forms. Birds, for example, they also dance and tweet and sing. And you can argue that that's an art form, or it could also be a scientific tool, a technology that they had, a knowledge that got fixed in their genes that helped them survive as a species. Yeah, that's also proves the point that art and science could have a shared beginning. Another example would be birds' nests. Some of them are really complex and sophisticated architecturally. Or spider webs, they are geometrically beautiful, and it's also their tool for their survival, for hunting, and that's also another proof of art and science, really, like how blurry it gets and how hard it is to draw a line between them.
Just like the unity of science that says that all the sciences form a unified whole, if we study and investigate every branch and discipline of knowledge, we can visualize the tree of knowledge. If philosophy, science and theology are thoroughly investigated, and information fusion is used with consilience, we can visualize a better picture of reality. And it is only possible by collaboration and sharing.
Though it makes sense to share what we know in order to help each other overcome problems or develop any new ideas we might have. We understand the benefits of sharing. That's why it's at the heart of our knowledge management strategy and is carried out through our SHARE initiative. SHARE encourages everyone to collaborate by exchanging ideas, insights and experiences, so we can save time finding solutions, improve the way we work in the future, and avoid making the same mistakes. Because you can be sure that someone, somewhere, has encountered a similar problem to you, or knows of a way to make your idea even more brilliant. Just imagine what we'd achieve if we all put our minds together.
Well, yeah, I think that fear is natural, and we need sometimes to be feared about even science and the future and the technology that is advancing right now exponentially, and we don't know where it's taking us. The reason I'm saying that fear is natural is that because when we came down to trees in Africa, we needed to be fearful. So fear and anxiety are necessary things, and they make us ready to criticize and to be immune of the outcome of some of the scientific discoveries. But on the other hand, there is some anti-science movements and anti-intellectual movements that could come out of these fear and anxieties, and because people are not ready for a change, specifically a very, very rapid change that is happening right now. But I just want to say that this fear, even though it is very good sometimes and could be used as a tool of criticizing, but science is really advancing in all directions. It's not just physics and mathematics and genetics advancing. We have science of human rights right now, and there is environmental sciences, and there is science of animal rights that never existed before. So I think this fear, even though it's good, but we should be prepared, and there should not be a anti-science movement and anti-intellectual movement. I think evolution would find its way, and we would just advance more and more, and we should be ready for it.
To achieve advantages of consilience or unification of knowledge, we need broad-mindedness and compassion. We have to start with acceptability rather than skepticism. We need to practice this compassion not only between religious beliefs but with other disciplines of knowledge. We need to understand that consilience requires a collaborative effort, and it is only possible by transcending mutual differences at religious or ideological platforms.